Electric power is undoubtedly taking over the new car market. Admittedly, things have been a bit slower when it comes to commercial vehicles and vans, but that changed significantly in 2021. But you're probably sat there thinking, what does that mean for me as a new car buyer? Well, it means that you can finally buy something like this, the new Citroen e-SpaceTourer. Okay, it's quite obviously a van with windows, that much is true. But cars like this have long been favourites of people looking for maximum space and maximum carrying capacity, but on a pretty tight budget. Okay, they're not glamorous, but they are big, they are clever, and they are good value. So what is this one like? We'll find out in this video review, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to the Driving Electric YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified when new videos go live.
Part of the reason the market for electric vans and people carriers is expanding so fast is that Citroen's parent company is able to share technology across a lot of brands. The SpaceTourer therefore has many of the same bits and bobs under the metal as not only the dispatch van, but also the Peugeot 208 Super Mini, the Citroen C4 family hatch, and even the posh DS3 Crossback. That means in this electric version a 50 kWh battery with a 134 brake horsepower electric motor, which in this case translates to an official range of 143 miles on a charge. Yet, as this is an 8-seater vehicle, this figure is really dependent on how many people you're transporting. A full load is going to reduce total range quite a bit. We saw 130 miles on the trip readout, but while that held well around town, it dropped much quicker on the motorway. The SpaceTourer, after all, is a bit of a brick.
And yet, because every e-SpaceTourer comes with 100 kilowatt charging as standard, you can do a 10 to 80% charge in around half an hour. That should be plenty of time for every single one of your 8 passengers to have a bite to eat or a quick rest. If you're charging from a slower on-street charger like this or a 7 kilowatt home wall box, you can do a full charge in around 7.5 hours.
The e-SpaceTourer looks a lot like the diesel model, aside from the charging port, a few little E badges dotted around, and, if you choose to have it, a green bar on the number plate. It's also pretty similar inside to the normal SpaceTourer, but instead of a rev counter, there's a power dial, plus a battery gauge, and a small screen that shows all the other important driving information that you might need.
Since there's no conventional gear lever up here, there is enough space for front seat passengers to get into the back should they so wish. But storage is pretty good. There's some nets down here, there's a glove box up here, another cubby on the top there, and some space on the dash for your phone or wallet, and the door bins, they're a good size as well. The central infotainment screen is on the small side. You don't get nav as standard, and the menus could be easier to use, but at least you do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. In terms of quality, it doesn't feel as expensive in here as a Mercedes EQV, but that is a given this car's price tag. The materials, they are a bit scratchy, but they do feel hard wearing, which should suit family buyers down to the ground.
The example that we've got here is the now discontinued field trim, but choosing the current business edition and adding a few options, including parking sensors and sat-nav, should help you to near enough match our car's spec. And since the business edition costs around £32,000, it's pretty good value. It comes with air conditioning, cruise control, and that touchscreen that we just mentioned. The higher spec Flare comes with more kit, including 17-inch alloys, a panoramic sunroof, heated leather seats, a head-up display, and the sat-nav missing on the basic car. Yet the Flare is in a different league to the business edition when it comes to price. The top spec car is nearly £48,000. That's partly down to the extra kit, but also because it doesn't qualify for the government's plug-in car grant. So it seems very expensive, given you're getting the very same battery, motor, and charging technology under the metal.
In the UK, the e-SpaceTourer only comes in the medium body length, but that's no problem at all because there's loads of space for passengers. We've got 1, 2, 3 rows of seats with room for up to 8 people, or 9 if you spec the optional third seat in the very front. Back here and in the rearmost row, these seats fold nice and easily, and there are ISOFIX points on all 6 of these rear chairs. Legroom is very good, and so is headroom because you sit so nice and upright. And if you really want to lean on this e-SpaceTourer's van roots, you can remove the seats completely, making it one of the most practical electric cars you can buy.
One word of warning though, you'll need to be very careful when you're parking. That large tailgate can be awkward to open and close. It's not too heavy, but you do need to have plenty of space behind the car in order to open it. The sliding doors work wonders for side access though.
If you thought the e-SpaceTourer looked big on the outside, just wait until you take a seat in here. It just feels a bit cumbersome. You see, it's not helped by the fact this car's got such a high centre of gravity and it's got really light, numb steering. You just never feel that connected to the road. But you don't expect a car or a van like this to be particularly entertaining. You want it to be easy to drive, and it is. Getting going is simple, you just flick it into D and go. There's a drive mode selector. Eco limits the power and turns off the air conditioning, whereas power gives you power, just as you'd expect. You can also adjust the strength of the regen braking by pressing this B button, which increases the slowing sensation when you lift off the accelerator, feeding more power into the battery. On the whole, the e-SpaceTourer is pretty comfortable, although at times there is no avoiding this car's van route. You see, when you're driving along with an empty load, it can get a little bit bouncy, especially over rough roads. The electric motor is punchy enough from low speeds, but if speed is what you're after, you're going to be a little bit disappointed, especially if you've got a full set of passengers on board. But it's quiet enough, certainly alongside this car's diesel rivals. Visibility is good thanks to the van-like raised driving position, which makes it easy and relaxing to drive, although you're not going to be spending prolonged periods back here, mainly because this car's relatively short range. If you're considering a Citroen e-SpaceTourer, you're either a business user after an all-electric minibus, or you've got a pretty big family. The former will enjoy this car's low company car tax rates, while the latter will be impressed by its comfort, its refinement, its practicality, and its value for money. If you stay away from the pricey top-spec models, this Citroen e-SpaceTourer is actually one of the best all-electric options if you want to carry a lot of people. But remember that this car's modest range, thanks to its relatively small battery pack, means it's not likely to become a mainstream favourite anytime soon.
Head to DrivingElectric.com for all the latest electric car advice, news and reviews, and check us out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the Driving Electric YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified when new videos go live.